Welcome to the Black Gay History Channel. Please share this video and subscribe to this channel for more captivating content. I was recently disheartened to hear that longtime lawyer and Jamaican LGBTQ rights activist Maurice Tomlinson is stepping down from pursuing LGBTQ legal rights in Jamaica. Since the early 2000s, Maurice Tomlinson has used his experience in law to help advocate for the removal of the buggery law in Jamaica that penalizes men for same-sex acts, including up to 10 years in prison for hard labor. Though this law is rarely enacted in the courts, human rights advocates have captured countless accounts and testimonies of violence and outright mob murders against LGBTQ people in the country. While Jamaica in 2023 is still grappling with the reality that the violence and murder rates in the country are considered a national crisis, a lack of legal protections and cultural disdain for the LGBTQ community in Jamaica leaves LGBTQ Jamaicans particularly open to discrimination and violence. Though Jamaica still struggles with the stigma of HIV and sexual health awareness in general, the numbers for HIV rates in the country is a substantial health crisis, further fueled by homophobia, lack of sexual education, and transparency between partners. Tomlinson has used his expertise in legalese to help support Jamaican HIV and AIDS nonprofits like Jamaica AIDS Support for Life and supporting those affected by HIV and AIDS. Maurice Tomlinson has been one of the few, if only, gay rights activists to challenge the Jamaican buggery laws head-on in the courts, and over the years has been met with nothing but pushback, red tape, and very literal threats to his life and the life of his family. In 2012, while staying in Jamaica, a Jamaican newspaper posted the news of his marriage to his husband, Tom Decker, in Canada the year prior, alerting the local community that he and his husband were in Jamaica. Detractors of gay rights began to send death threats not just to Tomlinson and his husband, but also to anyone in his family who supported him. In 2013, Tomlinson would also be one of the primary focuses in the documentary Abominable Crime, which is an impactful and touching film about the literal violence and culture of hatred some LGBTQ Jamaicans faced, including the threats to Maurice and his family. The documentary Abominable Crime focuses on the harsh cultural effects of Jamaica's buggery law that leave LGBTQ Jamaicans open to violence. And the film follows the story of Tomlinson, Simone Harris, and several other gay Jamaicans who had to flee the country due to threats to theirs and their family members' lives. Ever since, Tomlinson has been working in between Toronto, Canada, and Jamaica to fight and contest the buggery laws, but also support the growing LGBTQ rights movement in the country. In 2015, J-Flag, Jamaica's premier LGBTQ rights organization, hosted the very first Gay Pride celebration in Jamaica, which has grown exponentially year after year. Maurice Tomlinson has helped organize many of the Pride events, which now attract thousands of attendees and celebrity guests each year, finally creating a visible space for LGBTQ Jamaicans to celebrate with one another. Though Pride events have come with pushback from city officials and some citizens, Pride JA is just one of many indications of progress for LGBTQ Jamaicans that Maurice Tomlinson helped spearhead. In recent years, Tomlinson has still been challenging the Jamaican buggery law, but has consistently been met with obstacles in the courts, and it seems the activist has had enough. I only worked in HIV prevention and LGBTQ activism for 15 years, and I'm worn out, so I can only imagine how incredibly taxing being one of the primary faces of the LGBTQ rights in one of the most homophobic countries in the world could be. Though the colonial-era buggery law, brought into effect by British colonialists in 1861, is still standing, Maurice Tomlinson has done an impeccable job of bringing visibility and change to Jamaican society by pushing back against the cultural tyranny that's happening on the island. There are other minority groups in Jamaica that have had to learn to push back against discrimination in Jamaican society, and the LGBTQ community is just one of many communities that should be questioning the country's laws and deeply held belief systems that are clearly holding the people back. Rastafarians, a spiritual community that arose in Jamaica in the 1930s, were deemed in Jamaican society as outcasts and were judged for wearing their locks and smoking ganja. Now locks is one of the most popular hairstyles associated with Jamaican people, and the Western world is turning to the legalization of marijuana to make exponential profits and treat illnesses like depression and cancer. Maurice Tomlinson helped awaken a generation of LGBTQ Jamaicans to see themselves worthy of taking up space, despite the constant harassment we may receive from our families and communities. Though many LGBTQ Jamaicans have left the country for safety, many more are finding ways to create community in the country and educate the public. As some listeners may be aware, I'm a first-generation Jamaican Canadian who has endured my unfair share of discrimination in and outside of my Jamaican family for being gay. And I have been incredibly empowered by the great work that Maurice Tomlinson has done for Jamaica over the years. Seeing the progression of pride events in Jamaica online and being able to keep up with the challenges to Jamaica's hateful and discriminatory laws has given me hope as a Jamaican in the diaspora for so many years, and yet I understand that sometimes we all have to take a break. There is a younger generation of LGBTQ Jamaicans that are learning from the leaders and tagging into the fray, and I hope Maurice Tomlinson and any other longtime fighters of LGBTQ rights knows they are seen, exponentially loved, and appreciated.